Okay, brilliant. Hey everybody, it's Teresa, and I am coming at you live from historic Claymont, Delaware. This is my first con presentation. Let's make it a brilliant one. How do we get into cybersecurity? The perennial question. And a lot of times people answer blue team, red team, purple team, pen tester, SOC analysts, auditors, things like that. What's not talked about a lot is the marketing side of cybersecurity, which is how I entered the industry with my MBA and my writing skills. Now, marketing is really interesting because you can use it as a side door to get into cybersecurity, or you can build a whole career on the side of the house. And hopefully going to get you started in doing either one of those things. So I began as just a simple cybersecurity copywriter. I love my presentation is full of these pop culture references because I love them. Now, everybody watching this, even if they're brand new to the security industry, you're familiar with things like pen testers, SOC analysts, but most people, in my experience, have absolutely no idea what a cybersecurity copywriter does. I have spent 6 years being asked over and over, well, what is it that you do anyway? Well, that's what my presentation is going to go over. But first, before I get into what a cybersecurity copywriter is, I first have to explain what's a copywriter. And I found too, a lot of people have no idea what this is. They think it has something to do with working at a law. No, copywriting, right. The copywriting is business writing, opposed to writing, scripts or fiction or novels, things like that. For the definition, clear, compelling copy for the purpose of selling or educating and engaging audiences. Well, note there, though, even when you're educating and engaging, you're still selling. You're just doing a soft sell. That's like a blog. Good blogs they kind of softly sell it, like educating people as to, why you would use the product. Now, everything that you read on the web, somebody wrote that. Now, you might write your own blogs, your own social media posts, things like that, or even your own, I wrote my own conscript here. A busy executive or an organization, they don't do that. They don't write their own stuff. They don't have time for that. They hire copywriters. That's what I've been doing for years. I've been a generalist copywriter a lot longer than I've been a cybersecurity copywriter. It's really important to point out a couple of things here, really. I know the headline says copywriting is a lot more than just selling and grammar. It's more than just writing academic papers, except for papers, like we were talking about pre-show. Academic writing and copywriting are absolutely worlds apart. Just because you have an English degree, that doesn't mean you're a copywriter. If you've written a million academic papers, that doesn't mean you're a copywriter, because the tweet on the side there, I just saw that on LinkedIn a few days ago. Absolutely so prolific and so they want you to write and write and write and write like novels in the business world. It really is like that. Okay, you need to explain this to me like you're riding in the elevator between the 3rd and 4th floor, or I'm out of here. I don't have time for this. So you have to be concise. You have to get your point apart and concisely. And that also means just being able to be coherent. I mean, that's a start we can work with, but you have to be more than coherent. You have to be persuasive. You also have to know something about business. There's a lot of whether MBAs are worth for me. I think because I have the STEM undergrad, the MBA was worth to me because it filled a lot of gaps in my business knowledge that did not have before. You have to be a business person, not just a good Canadian. Copywriting is also more than just writing all day. My husband and I laugh about this. We read this article a couple years ago. This person purportedly writes 10,000 words a day, every single day. No, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. I mean, banging out an entire season of The Walking Dead in like a week. Nobody does that. That's not how this works. It's not volume. And also, as a copywriter, you're doing a lot more than just writing. You're working in teams. White papers are put together in teams. Blogs are put together in teams. You're working with the rest of the marketing team, with the head of content, with the CMO, chief marketing officer. You're making sure that the marketing and communication strategies are putting forth a consistent message for the organization. If you're running a company, you don't want your blogs to sound really different than your social media channel. You want that tone to be consistent throughout. That's a big part of copywriting. So you're working with project teams to make sure that the tone is consistent, to make sure that the company is being presented well, to make sure that the product that you're marketing, product or products, are being marketed well, because you want to hit on the consumer's pain points. You're solving problems with the products. Copywriters also do, especially for white papers, tremendous amounts of research. We also sometimes, and I did a lot of this in 2021, because I did a lot of client case studies for Cloudflare. That's where you interview a company's client about a product, let's say a DDoS product, and you interview them about, well, why did you implement this product? What were you having? How did this product solve those problems? What else do you envision doing in the future? Things like that. So you actually talk to people sometimes, and then when you're writing that interview, you don't just transcribe the interview, you're putting it into a story to tell the brand's story. Because anybody could just transcribe an interview, but you're making it so people actually want to read it. Now, I started by saying, I started out as a generalist copywriter, which actually, that's not a good thing. Most successful copywriters specialize in a particular niche. Like around my area, there's a lot of farm copywriters because there's like a million drug companies. Like I live in Delaware. So I came to specialize in cybersecurity. Cloud to another extent, because I did a lot of work for a Google Cloud Services company, but especially cybersecurity. As cybersecurity copywriter, I'm a bridge between the technical and business sides of InfoSec. If I'm writing a blog about something, let's say Log4j, I have to understand what I'm talking about, at least at a high level. Okay, I'm not a developer all, and I don't have experience going in and pulling down SIM systems all, but an idea of how that's done on a high level. And that's the only way I can write about it. Because these blogs are going out to two audiences, both technical and non-technical, and I don't want to look foolish in front of the non-technical, in front of the technical people. I have to have an idea of what I'm talking about. Anything when I'm doing client studies, I'm interviewing a CISO, problem their company was having. People now have secure and enable remote workforces because of the pandemic. And I'm talking to them about zero trust. I interviewed a lot of people implementing zero trust platforms. Well, I understand, why is it that you would want a zero trust platform? I can't just describe the product. I understand, well, somebody want to implement this. What are they getting at? But send this for them. So that's how I bridge the tech and the business side, because I can talk the CISO's language. I can also talk the CEO's language. Now, the next question may be, well, isn't this the same thing as technical writing? Yes and no. Okay, these are two different functions. But very simply, copywriters market products, technical writers teach people how to use them. So technical writers do not get involved in the marketing side at all. The people have already purchased the product, and they need to configure it, they need to deploy it, things like that. But as a copywriter, though, in the real world, even though these are two different functions, there's some crossover. Have put together product and we seem to be doing more of that very soon because I actually a new job as a compliance analyst on Monday, where I'm going to be using my writing skills to write reports, and they're going to have me go through the company's documentation as well. So you're doing like very technical about like semantics, okay, like graphic artists at all, like I wouldn't know how to like put that together and label it. So there's like marketing professional, you need to be like really to be a cybersecurity. You have to be at least like tech light or tech modern. Okay, so let's go into, well, what can you do as a cybersecurity copywriter? That's how I began my career in InfoSec. Well, and I mentioned I start a new job as an analyst on Monday. It's a good time to talk about potential career paths. If you want, you can spend your whole career as a copywriter. There's certainly a lot of work out there. I'm still turning people away. I spent 2 years turning people away, and I still am. I have to tell them that I got a full-time job. I can't take on freelance work anymore. You could also say in other areas of marketing. You could wind up a content director, head of content, product marketer, even a chief marketing officer. That was not the area because you don't get my personality. It's yours. Maybe even things like sales engineering. Depends on your personality interests. You can also, this in a little bit there in the pre-show, transition into the rating intensive areas of InfoSec. Okay, so, if you're running a pen test, you're running a pen test or running a vulnerability assessment, you should create a report that to give to the client. And if you're able to write one, it's going to be a lot easier for you to put together a report. Because I see a lot of posts on Twitter from red teamers that are like, oh my God, I got to write a report. And I'm just like, it's not a core competency. If writing is one of your core competencies, you're going to have a lot easier time. Now, we're going to be a BRC analyst. Things like, okay, if your company is going for the FedRAMP certification and they want to do FedRAMP High, and that means you can sell services, cloud services to the federal government, like a top secret level. You have to put together what's called a system security plan for documenting all your security controls. It could be in the neighborhood of 2,000 pages long. Okay, somebody's going to write all that, and somebody like me. That's the reasons why it's a job, because it is writing heavy, even though the word says analyst, or the job says analyst. Told you I make a lot of pop culture references, and it's been a long road getting from there to here. I'm not going to torture you with that. I cannot sing it all. Okay, my journey into InfoSec was not a straight line. Not even close, okay? Potholes, debris, no guardrails. Really, if this had been easy, I did not wake up one day and just say, what do I want to do? I want to be a cybersecurity copywriter. That's what I'm going to do. No, I was working it out as a generalist copywriter. in addition to doing pretty much to change my life as long as it, didn't involve like killing people. So it's just like, really like horrible. At one point, we lost dogs for the money. I mentioned in the Discord, my first work job was helping naughty people clean up their online reputation by pushing the bad stuff off of page one of Google. It's hilarious. And not getting me anywhere though. Much education, because I graduated my bachelor's degree in 2011, had no idea how to leverage it. We didn't take the same resources that we have now. This class was pretty much in its infancy unless you worked for Google. And no professional network to speak of. I'm not a big people person. I find it really hard to meet new people and network. So my professor from that was people who paid just for a living. But people they are like really some really bad times. I think people have to see this house I'm sitting at. It's sitting right now. It's sitting in my porch. What are you boss? I can do anything about. I true. I didn't know what I was going to do. The answer was really right in front of me, and I didn't know it. I mentioned I was still doing these work jobs. I did the work, like, oh, you know what it is. Most of you probably do. It's a freelance platform. They're probably the biggest one out there. Platform, and me doing different jobs on it, not just a reputation management job, but things like little copywriting here and there. For example, I wrote some copy for a company. It's not even a business anymore. They make drone software. That ends up being my saving grace. So let's look. How did I have this? How did I get that $400 off my board? In 2016, my very first InfoSec client. And here's how I got from this company that did GRC software development and auditing. Hit me up and said, okay, I need some content for my company. I need some sales collateral. You have this application, and I see you've done some tech. I think you'd be good for this. If you don't know what GRC is, that's okay, because neither I was offered the job, had no idea what GRC was. Here's what I did know. I really needed this money, and the client is willing to pay me about twice as much as these other. So I said yes, and then I started furiously Googling, and I found out it means risk management and compliance. That was a GRC vet. Gave myself a crash education in it because I had to. This had to work. Just failures and okay. And you can see here between 2016 and 2019, I worked very hard after I gave myself this crash education. Started blogging for this company every week. I started building a portfolio. All of a sudden, other companies started finding me on Upwork, a PR company that had some cybersecurity clients, Google Cloud services outlets that I talked about, other cybersecurity companies. Started me up. Started building a customer base. All of a sudden, I'm getting people coming at me, and that's what I'm the off of Upwork. In 2019, I had my very first six-figure year. So I went from foreclosure to six figures. I couldn't believe it. Okay. 2020 happened. And I thought, this is going to be the end of this. I figured this couldn't last. Then everybody had enable and secure remote workforces. Then all my clients, their business went. And then mine was just went crazy. It got even busier. I'm turning away people as the world is ending. And I often joke, if you get a job in InfoSec, you will never be, not even when the world ends, you will still be working. The end of the world. Now we're in 2021. I decided that I wanted to get out of freelance work and get a full-time job. And I also wanted to transition into an analyst type position. I got offered 3 jobs. One of them from the one I ended up taking was from my current client, Cybersecurity. They didn't want to lose me. They just saw, okay, we have this great writer and she knows cyber and she has all this organizational knowledge. They didn't want it walking out the door. So I got into discussions with them and I start full-time with them on Monday as a GRC analyst. So foreclosure box, the GRC analyst. I never thought this would happen. And if this can happen to me, this can happen to you. Just trust me here because I didn't even explain the life. There's no time. I could probably spend the whole day talking about this. Enough about me. Then you go get yours because you need to get yours. The work is out there. It's really out there. I talk about how I'm turning clients away. It's not crap. These are statistics I pulled from a report that I went to. Sources there in the slides. 36% of the American workforce freelances now. 53% provide skilled services, like I do. In fact, that unskilled freelancers, that percentage is going down, and freelancing is getting more and more skilled. Fell into this category for a long time. 44% of freelancers told us we earn more money freelancing than we would have in a traditional job this year, and that's my case for a long time. When CMs hit me up, they were paying me a lot more than I would have earned in a full-time job at that point, especially because that was my first one. I have no experience or anything in cybersecurity. So now I'm going to tell you how you can get started and go get yours. First, you want to be a copywriter. Okay, cybersecurity copywriter. You need a portfolio. Some writing samples. You need to start a blog and you need to update it regularly, 2 to 3 times a week at least. If you're not working, you have time to do this. What else are you doing? I like Medium. That's a blogging platform. One of the reasons why I like it is their articles tend to rank high in Google. So somebody searches, let's say you're writing blogs about zero trust. If somebody searches zero trust, your articles are probably going to come up pretty high if they're well written. You can write about cybersecurity news. You could write explainer articles. Just start writing. Demonstrate your knowledge. And as your knowledge base grows, keep writing. My Medium blog is, I haven't updated it in a long time. I haven't needed to. People have been coming at me. And so you have to promote yourself, and your service is going to get blue horn. Keep NEC always be closing. Like I said, your Medium is rank high. You could also promote the blogs on your social media, promote them on Twitter, promote them on LinkedIn. Get yourself a simple website. Doesn't have to be the greatest website in the world. It could be simple WordPress site, a couple of pages, just the place to your portfolio and how to contact you for work. Make profiles on work and job sites. Folks that I'm most familiar with, I know it's the job sites out there. Because starting out, this is something I really should have said a couple slides back. I'm sorry, it's my first presentation. You're looking at freelancing to start out. And is a good one. I know there's other ones, make profiles, and you can search for work there too. Not only can other people find you, you can find them. And here's something that I was going to get into, but I never did because, like I said, I was starting work away. YouTube, TikTok videos, explainer videos. In fact, I think I can start doing this now that I've gotten a job because I want to keep promoting my personal brand, even though I've got a full-time job. Because it's good for anybody to do. Network. Let's talk to somebody in the Discord, they were saying I'm kind of shy. It's hard for me to network. I'm not so much shy, but I'm not a people person. I'm not a networking person. I have to, and that's the beauty. No one has to anymore unless you want to. Get involved in InfoSec Twitter. Get involved in Discord chats. To some extent, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, it's a little hit and miss. But here's what you do use LinkedIn for. When you get a freelance job, connect with your clients on LinkedIn. And if you do work with, connect with them. Because people in tech move around a lot. So when they move from one company to another, that company needs writing services, they'll hit you up. That happened to me. Oh, people are happy with you. They'll keep seeking you out. Companies like this one, visual these days is beautiful. I love this. It's so much more inclusive. An old style in-person cons are great, but I love the inclusivity of this. Professional groups. I'm a member of I'm a member of Black Girls Hand, even though I'm not Black, because I just love what they're doing, the inclusivity. I'm a member of ISACA, join professional organizations, and they have virtual meetups too. Okay, and one final note, I put this here because I wasn't sure where else to put it. This presentation is focused on English language copywriting because unfortunately, I only speak English. But if you're like Hoshi Sato there, if you know who that is, then you know. If you can write in more than one language, you can write your own ticket. I know the Cloudflare hires copywriters who can write well in other languages. The energy clients whose first language is not English. They're a multinational firm, multinational firms, multinational client bases. You can speak to them, to those clients in their languages. That's great. You can do case studies. You could do any kind of marketing material, blogs in those languages, and also with the case studies too. You can really command because you could interview a client in their language, write the case study in that language, because often multinational firm will also want to translate it back into English because the story still applies even outside of whatever country the client was in. Okay, we're coming up on a half hour here, and I would like to thank you for listening to me blather on for the last half hour. I'm looking at my notes here. Sorry, I should have memorized my script, and I did not. As I said, I will make these slides available for download. I am going to put them in the Discord as well as on my Twitter and LinkedIn. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn. If you follow me on Twitter, you're going to see a lot of stuff. Yes, this is Star Trek as well as smart stuff. Never quite know what's going to happen on my Twitter. I try to make it fun. And LinkedIn is like totally, totally, because I'm an English, that's more professional.